Buongiorno. Episode again of Espresso with Vinny. Thank you so much, my loyal fans. We're back again. I'm kind of in the get to the point mood tonight. So let's look at species and who's superior, who's not, what their mentality is. Okay. You have to understand that if a eagle flies high and alone, hunts for its own food, it has a different lifestyle than a crow that flies in large packs and flies low and generally is looking for a free meal on the streets and off picnic benches and going through cornfields. Right? Two different species of birds. Why am I bringing this up in dog training? Because I want you to understand that in general, genetics have a part in every species. So therefore, don't expect eagles and force them to live down at a low altitude and just eat crumbs off a park bench. Because if you force eagles to live the lifestyle of a crow, they'll become extinct, they'll be miserable, they'll be unhappy. So that brings us to the understanding of dogs also, because in the species, don't expect your working breeds or a pit bull to be like other breeds. So tonight, I actually have a guest appearance. I have a special guest. I'm going to show you the special guest. Her name is Clover. Now, she's a very young, 9-week-old, I believe, golden retriever. Okay. So she has been here with Vinny. They get along and play well. Now, golden retriever probably not going to be trained like big burly pit bull Vinny here. Okay. Vinny's got all these different capabilities that the golden retriever doesn't have. And the golden retriever has some capabilities that Vinny doesn't have. The golden retriever is going to naturally like to retrieve and stare at the birds and bring them back and have a gentle bite. Big Vinny here, he wants to go after probably large wild game like boar and go out and maybe bear hunt or something. But they're versatile pit bulls. Believe me, they won more competitions than you would ever know in types of different obedience, rally, etc. They're very versatile dog. But definitely a different personality than the sweet little golden retriever. These dogs are going to be trained differently. This dog is not going to be happy with training like with the personality and character of a very dominant pit bull, and vice versa. You're not going to get the same effect. So you really have to know how to understand dog language, what is common in different breeds that they do share, but also specific to the breed. So I bring this up because so many people make the mistake of doing research and getting whether it's exotic breeds or getting a golden retriever or a pit bull and then thinking they can just overlap. For instance, a lot of people think you could just get a golden retriever and just let it run around with kids and friends' kids and come over and enjoy the Super Bowl and the tennis match and have a good time. And you're right, you can. In most cases, you can with the golden retriever. They're a very versatile, good family dog that could also go out and bird hunt with you, right, little Clover? So realize that the way Clover is very affectionate like this, also pitties are very affectionate and emotional. But pitties, the big pit bulls, they like to be very like dominant and protective of their land and their house, and they mean it. So and I'm generalizing, of course, but the training for a pit bull, you don't necessarily have your Super Bowl party and your tennis match in the same scenario and then invite all your friends over and let the kids run around and let them just interact with the dog they've never met. Okay, it's not that type of dog. It's not what you call the general family dog. So German Shepherds, Rottweilers, a lot of these ones, you cannot just let them go Akitas and just let them roam around the house and expect them to do what a golden retriever will do. I would, if I were having strangers come over that Vinny never met, I would probably put him away or I just have him next to me while I interacted with those strangers because he's naturally going to be a guardian, this guy, and this one's going to naturally be, look at this, the love bug, right? Because that's what golden retrievers, they're more versatile for family life, okay? So you have to know that don't expect your Akita, your Pit Bull, your Rottweiler to be all the same. They're obviously individuals, but generalizing in the breeds, if they are actually bred for that working purpose, it's most likely going to be a dog that's going to be very specific, that can handle different situations differently than other breeds. So don't force eagles to live like crows. They'll never be happy. They probably would go extinct. And they're both birds. Do not force dogs to live the life of the same other species. Training is different. Affection levels are different. My giant Schnauzer and my German Shepherds I've had, a lot of those German breeds are a little more distant at times. They'll be extremely affectionate, but they're happy going off at a distance and sleeping alone. You get into the Mastiff breeds, which is also following into the Rottweilers and the Pit Bulls, and they can cuddle with you all night. They have no problem with that. So definitely difference in personalities, but you have to watch it with the Mastiff breeds. And the pity being from those type of what we call Molosser breeds coming from Central Asia, that big cranium you see on them. These guys, if they get jealous because you're just babying them, but you don't show you're the boss, they won't honor your word when you say, hey, go gentle with the new guests. If you haven't trained them properly, they can get jealous. So we see a lot of bad flack happen with different breeds of these working guardian classes that can become jealous, and there's bad dog bites out there because of it. You've got to be able to control the jealousy in these animals. Golden Retriever, I've seen them where they're hoarding, and I just got done with the Golden Retriever as a client. It was like a hole puncher, putting holes in the daughter's hand, other people's hand. Vinny, hey, we're still alive. You can't go anywhere, okay? Yeah. Pay attention. You want to know that you want to finish my espresso? You can. Maybe later. You're there. So you have to realize that these dogs are very specific for their use, as I'm telling you, and the jealousy levels can be different. The Golden Retriever that I was working with that was biting through people's hands, extremely jealous. Okay, so jealousy can cross, because they're both dogs. Not common for a Golden Retriever to be like this, but the Golden Retrievers that are bred strictly for hunting and duck hunting tend to have a stronger personality. So you may see a more dominant animal like that, and the characteristics of potential biting. Believe it or not, Golden Retrievers bite a lot of people out of play bite or jealousy. The one I just got done with rehabilitating from biting extremely hard, it responded very well to the training. It was a little bit stubborn the first 2 days, but it livened up a little bit. And now it's a wonderful dog. And now the daughter can pet the dog and relax with it and not worry about getting bit. But boy, they have to follow my rules. It's my way or the highway. I don't want to hear how it's not natural for you. Then you can't own them. And I tell that all the time to clients. So definitely I'm making examples of understand your breed. This breed here, this little dog, she'd be sweet and she'd cuddle all night, I'm sure, with anybody who wanted to. So they're sharing that similarity. If you're dealing with a German short-haired pointer, German Shepherd, some of the Malinois and so forth, they'll go to the foot of the bed, they'll get off the bed, they'll move around at night, they'll come back. It's a different mentality. They're more herding breeds. They go out. This isn't a herding breed. That's not a herding breed. Herding breeds going out and moving the livestock and telling them where to go. It's that sort of thing, like a border collie and so forth. So understanding the difference in personalities and their perspectives, you do have to understand some dogs will make better family pets based on energy level, jealousy, guardian type of mentality, and leeriness. So you will definitely see out of some of these Mastiff type breeds that the Rotties and so forth, and the Akitas, the big heads, they'll get very leery of like, who are you? So a lot of those dogs that guard flocks of livestock versus herding them can get more guardian, and you cannot just let them walk around your house and expect them to respond like this little sweet Golden Retriever here. Okay, so bottom line is you do have to control jealousy in all breeds, because that can exist, and I see it very often the way they're getting treated today. So I see the lovable side that people do, but I don't see the structured side. So that comes down to parenting. So talk about parenting. I see more people emphasizing the word, I like the dog to be happy all the time. I like it when the dog is being spoiled. So they're more interested in having the dog like them, love them, than having the dog be safe around kids, safe with their spouses, safe in the public. And they're more concerned with the dog being constantly needy and giving them a happy response with a tail wag, but never obeying. So that's a safety issue. So these dogs can run in the street. They can get in a fight with another aggressive dog because they're too hyperactive and they're annoying the dog and won't get out of their face, and they get bit harder, can take out an eye. I've seen so many things in my life, and you really have to change that mentality to first, it's safety and survival. You teach the dog to obey and respect you. Do you understand that? Liking you, loving you is secondary, believe it or not. And it's the same with raising children. If you have a kid that's being violent to other kids, stealing, not productive in society, a taker, and a spoiled brat, but he liked you because you let the kid do whatever he wanted. No, that doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, folks. Parenting means you also at times don't care if the kid doesn't like you or love you. You're not going to endanger yourself or endanger somebody else. That's also extremely important. And that should be your first priority, because at that point, the dogs respect you or your child respects you and they appreciate you, and actually the love grows. But I see in today's society, oh no, most of my clients, they want the dog to love and like them, always have that tail wagging all the time. They can't bear to see the dog miserable and unhappy. So now they're complaining because the dog doesn't obey. The dog's going to injure other dogs, injure grandma when she comes over and knock her over, even though he doesn't want to bite. And they're constantly being a nuisance. They're constantly barking. No one wants to live with them. And then what do? They give up. They're not good at doing anything. They're not good at being parents. If you're not good at being a parent, I've said many times to people, I have no embarrassment saying this, get fixed, tie your tubes, get a vasectomy. Don't have dogs because you're not mature enough to handle them. Understand structure is number one. Okay. Enough said on that. I got to the point, but now you understand these little guys. They're a great family dog. So I'm going to bring on some other little guests you're going to see today that are far different in personality, so you can see some different breed types. Okay. Good little Clover. This is my next special guest, and this is Bucky. He is a bull terrier. Adorable animal. He is, though, a little different because he is actually full grown. He is a mini bull terrier. That's right. I said it's a mini, okay? Little heart. Yeah, mini, I love you. You complete me, okay? Enough of my Austin Powers. This guy is similar to a pit bull in the sense that he's a tough guy. He likes to play rough. He can get territorial. He can get jealous. He likes to cuddle. But I would say more in general, flexible in the sense of family dog to be friendly, but training them extremely difficult. I would put this in the very top list of stubbornness. The reason why these are difficult to work with, 10 times worse than a Siberian Husky. Siberian Husky is very smart, likes to play with you, has a sense of humor, etc. These guys, they just don't care what you have to say. They're like on their little terrier mission with this little slope nose. They want to go sniff and explore and go down and burrow and find animals. But they're extremely lovable and wag their tail when the guests come over, but they won't listen to you easily. They'll jump on everyone, knock the kids over, eat all the food off the plates. They'll do whatever they want to do. But are they trainable? Yes. Can you get around all those problems with knocking grandma over and knocking the kids over? Yes. Problem is, just like I was explaining the eagles and the crows, how they're different personalities, but they're both birds. Same with humans. You better be one stubborn human being who can out-stubborn this guy. Because this guy, he is not going to back down to someone who just gives up. I'll tell you that much. They require a lot of repetition and very firm correction. Even firm corrections on these little guys, they laugh at you, they wag their tails, they come up and kiss you. They look at you like, oh, whatever, you want to play? Did you really mean to get my attention? They're quite a challenge, okay? So that's why, of course, I have this dog to train for a client, because you do have to be a lot firmer than you think and a lot more endurance, a lot more consistent, because they simply don't ever like to back down. It's just their personality. The other problem that you're going to have with them is, how are you going to give them their exercise. They do like to get out and run around like the pitties, a little bit different than some of the other dogs, but they're not a herding breed. Again, they will cuddle with you all night. They will watch TV with you, but the jealousy issues that you can get with the pit bulls, terriers, yes, that mastiff group, they can start to hoard. These dogs, like this one actually, would play too rough out of jealousy. So they do require a lot of training. But without embarrassment, I will tell you that if you don't have those personalities, don't tell me how much you like the dog, love the dog, and then excuse it for all its bad behaviors, then don't have them. You know, again, vasectomy, tie tubes, don't have kids, don't have these kind of dogs, because they're going to eventually be a menace or dangerous to themselves, if not somebody else or another dog. So training is essential for these little guys, but the personality of the owner is even more essential. I can't work with someone who doesn't have that stubbornness for this particular type of breed. Golden Retriever, much more flexible, much more, but you must learn to be firm with these little guys. So you've got to understand the genetics. He loves to play with Vinny, this little dude. We really enjoy our time together. You can see he's like a baby. He'll fall asleep in my arms, and he's always in a happy, good mood. I do enjoy the breed, but enjoying the breed and liking the breed is far different than owning the breed. So be sure that you have that kind of stubborn personality to work with this animal, because like Vinny, he'll love to play with him. But you've got to understand that you have to fine tune this guy, just like I had Vinny, to not play too rough, because they will play too rough. They like to play rough. Make sure that also that when you're training them, that you expectations are out over 2 years old, because they, like the pit bulls, they mature slowly. So it's going to take some time. What you got accomplished when they were 6, 8, 10 months, and you're doing a great job. Year and a half old, all of a sudden the adult personality, teenager comes in. 2 years old, now you've got a really determined animal. So you can never back down. Your job's not done until they're about 2.5 to 3 years old. It's taken me a while to finally stabilize Vinny. He's finally not a dog that I have to constantly communicate with. And this little guy will be the same. He's a young little bull terrier, and he's sweet, just like Vinny's sweet. But they only become that way when you're structured. So the problem I see is too many clients are saying, I like the dog, but liking the dog doesn't mean you've made the priority the dog can survive and not get hit by a car or sent to be euthanized, or the fact that you want the dog to also be happy is not a reason to not discipline and structure the dog. Following rules and commands and being a safe dog to themselves, to other animals, and to family and humans should be your number one priority. I don't need these dogs to like me and love me every second if I'm training them to be safe and survive in this world. I know that they're going to love me and respect me no matter what, but if they don't like what I'm doing and telling them, they look sad because I'm telling them to do something, that shouldn't be bothering you, because if it does bother you, you're not a parent. Parents all know, the parents that have good kids out there or people that have raised good dogs out there all know, I didn't ask, you don't have to love me, you don't have to like me every moment. But if I know something's for the betterment of that child or the betterment of the dog, I'm going to enforce a rule. And that should be your first priority. We'd have a lot better world if people had that attitude. If you constantly are stuck on this new generation of, oh, but I feel bad, he has to like me, he has to love me, he looks sad. God help you with children. You're never emotionally matured. You don't have the maturity to have kids or dogs. I'm sorry, I'm just that blunt, because society's gotten so ridiculous today that people have to be told it. You make sure that you understand structure, rules, don't get that out of your head. They're going to love you because you're going to be a loving parent. And like this dog loves me, like Vinny loves me, and they're not loving someone else more who spoils them. Eventually, you will see spoiled dogs even attack their owners, and we see that frequently happening. So be careful to not over spoil your dogs. Okay, now that's wrapping it up for our show. And I'm glad you could attend again. And by the way, this location, Zermatt, where I am at right now, is a wonderful place. I took my daughters here years ago, and it's a great place to go to restaurants and ski. Very quaint in Switzerland. So, arrivederci. Ciao. Let's See if he likes it like Vinny. Yeah, look at that, see? He's doing the Italian job too. He's gonna want cannolis and espressos. Hey, Vinny, we got an espresso buddy here. All right. Arrivederci, ciao. Bye, everybody.